I believe this seed was planted during my junior secondary school days when I opted to make acquaintance with a new student. I think it was in my JS2. Now, I don't think we had much conversations before he introduced me to both masturbation and pornography. This spirit of Succubus also led to the spirit of poverty. Poverty in the sense that once money enters my hand, it's like Ubong spend, Ubong spend, Ubong spend, and I would always spend. So at some point, I'm left with little to nothing. And the time I'm left with little to nothing is when I have the most important things to do. I'm here to thank the Lord for his mighty hand and outstretched arm of deliverance that prevailed over my life and resisted the grip of Succubus spirit and its invasive nature and its effect in my life. I believe this seed was planted during my junior secondary school days when I opted to make acquaintance with a new student. I think it was in my JS2 that had been admitted into my class. Now, I don't think we had much conversations before he introduced me to both masturbation and pornography. I can remember vividly well that this introduction to masturbation was when we had the class on puberty. Yeah, basic science. So that was in my JS2. He was the same person that introduced the whole class to explicit sexual content. You know what I mean? Pornography in JS3. So you can imagine a whole class we did not know something. So between two academic sessions, he did what he could do. And he actually left the school by JS3. So it was that bad. This was the outset of my misery and the struggle with these addictions. Since I was still in secondary school, the tendency to be absolutely controlled by this evil was less because my access to internet-enabled devices was very rare. My parents were still using button phones, so thank God when I come back home, TV, we were not using cable TV, we were just using sometimes DVD players and the rest. So God delivered me. That was part of the structure he kept to deliver me. But even with that, those saved as restraints for my life, and I'm actually grateful to God for that. During these periods, I was absolutely clueless, and I was oblivious to the consequences of the damages that this would bring to me, these ungodly acts. So without counsel and wisdom, I kept on doing what I had to do. I continued in these ungodly manners. I consider this act as a just way of indulging in immorality without indulging in immorality. You know what I mean? Not fornicating, but, I mean the many effects that it can bring to your life. After several years of engaging in this act, I think it started around 2015, I finally acknowledged, I think that was when I got into the university, I can't remember exactly, that there was something that was wrong and I was not doing God's will, and what I was doing did not honor God and did not serve any good purpose. I gave my life to Jesus in 2019. I think for a period I had some victory, but I was back into the mud. However, I realized late and I was absolutely helpless about these things. I was now bound and had become one with this distressful affliction. Now, realizing this thing, now I did not realize that this was a distressful spirit. Okay, so this is me telling you now that I realized it. So I sought after solutions to defeat this now familiar foe. Confession was not an option because I didn't know anyone I trusted enough to confess to. And to worsen matter, I had never been taught that one can actually confess and bring these things to light that were done in secret. Not being armed with the weapons to overcome this foe, I resorted to visit self-help techniques. I tried to approach different manners, motivational speeches. You can do this thing, you can be strong-willed. It can only take you so far. I mean, it's good to be strong-willed, but if you're not delivered from something like this, there's really not much you can do. I had a short burst of energy with seeming success, but always landed right back in the mud like a dog returning to its vomit. The affliction greatly affected my academics and made me lackluster towards my education in my fourth year in the university. I was in the first class. I think it was in my fourth year that I think it got really bad. So I actually derailed. Had a very poor results. Now, poor results. I think that was the semester I had a 4.0 something. That was the worst result I had in school. It's not just read. I used to do la cram la poor. So you get, not like I really understood what I was learning. I became depressed, antisocial, and I was always timid and very shy. Had lost vitality and almost all the good things that God has given to his children. I was bereft of good counsel. A majority of sermons in my local church were not focused towards making me look like Christ. So I knew my chances were quite low on receiving any help there was for this matter. However, I did not lose hope. I knew that God was able to heal and deliver me. But where and how this will happen was still uncertain. My deliverance. April 2023, I was privileged to walk into God's Lighthouse. And after the sermon that day, I confessed part of my sins. Yes, that was my first day. So I did not really understand the whole concept of opening up and bringing everything to light. I knew I had found a Bible-believing church, but even after the confession, I was still one with my woes. Not out of intention. I just couldn't overcome it. I started coming for the BBS classes, and BBS is the Believers Bible School. And the Lord began working in me, killing the desires of flesh. Now I was a very proud person. Like if you know me, you know I was proud. I received true understanding about repentance and understood my Bible much better. Now I knew there was indeed hope for me and freedom was just nearby. The Lord gave me a new heart. I forgave the people that hurt me, and I received a garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. I had an extended period of victory of about 3 to 5 months. And I went back to it like it happens. I mean, it's warfare. So these guys, they'll keep fighting you as much as they want. When I practiced, that was when I practiced the things I was taught in this house. I mean, now practicing these things was hard work from my shepherd and my self-shepherd. So I really want to thank God for them. I should actually give a testimony for these people. All was good and well, but a lifestyle of disobedience would often lead me back into the mud. However, at least now I knew I had a fighting chance and was learning warfare. At some point, now during these seasons where, now, like, let's say I came to God's Lighthouse April 2023. So let's say from April to July, I'll be fit, I'll be strong, and I'll fall. Now, how was I falling? So my shepherd told me I should put a filter on my YouTube, because typically I'm someone that likes being on YouTube. So sometimes I see something and the next thing is, it's all stuck in my mind. And before you know, we are trying to fight it every effort here and there, and you land. So she said I should do it. I did it the first time and I removed it later. I don't know why I removed it, but I removed it. So the battle was that serious, and my shepherd, Sister Stephen, she kept on encouraging me, and my sub-shepherd, Bro Samuel Otaka, they kept encouraging me. At some point, I became so weak, I couldn't come for meetings. If you notice, all the time I could not come for meetings. I oftentimes had to be dragged out of my house. Now, I didn't even know that was part of the warfare. So, I knew something was wrong. But however, I kept coming, like Pastor would say, for church meetings later on, because of the encouragement of my shepherd. Now, during this period, when I started, the first BBS cycle I had, I couldn't complete it because of, I won't say unforeseen circumstances, but circumstances I thought could not be overcome. That, as at then, I did not know some of the things I was supposed to know in this house. So when I later completed my BBS classes, let me read from here. After completion of my BBS classes, I was prayed for. Now, this entire warfare was around me just going through my BBS class and going for my Suzo prayers. Because during my Suzo prayers, I was prayed for, and the things that were highlighted were the spirit of loss, which had a full bragging right in my life through the presence of Succubus spirit. This spirit led to weariness in the sense that I could be all charged and fired up to do something, and I'll just fizzle out for no reason. So the weariness led to laziness. Now I'm listing this effect because it was bad. And other things that were highlighted. I didn't know that all this were tied and connected to this spirit, the spirit of Succubus that was present in my life. So when I was prayed for and I was delivered, now I used to have very, very dirty dreams. Very, very dirty dreams. I had these spirits visit me at least once in 2 weeks. So you see these very, very pornographic dreams. And with time, after the prayers, the dream ceased completely. Now, how I knew that that spirit had gone was that the dream ceased completely. And I got vitality, like the weariness I had. It's like something was lifted off me. I was more focused. I got clarity. I could see things clearly. In fact, it's my boss, the person I'm working with, I'll really tell you that things had changed in my life. But he did not know what changed in my life, actually. I really want to thank God for this because, if not for the fact that... Now, this spirit of Succubus also led to the spirit of poverty. Poverty in the sense that once money enters my hands, like, Ubong spend, Ubong spend, Ubong spend. And I would always spend. So at some point, I'm left with little to nothing. And the time I'm left with little to nothing is when I have the most important things to do. So these things happen. I want to thank the Lord for helping me. And I also want to thank the Lord for, our brethren in this house, because, I went back home. I was like, God, if you don't have people that were committed, that were obeying you, listening to you, did not give them, they did not receive their prophetic gifts, they did not, pay the price to come out on that Saturday to pray for people. Is this how my life will continue with this number of things? So I want to thank God that, He brought me to God's Lighthouse. And indeed, I've seen His light in the house. And I thank God for His word. May His name be praised.
Thanks for watching. For more stories of God's transforming power as well as all the life-changing content, do check out the links in the description. Please do not forget to subscribe, like, turn on your notification bell, and share. God bless you.